To hear from createyourfuture.co. So today we have Erica joining us. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Amanda.
Guys, so I'm so excited. We have a success story from one of Erica's clients, and she actually changed the situation around to where he's actually in wanting her to hang out with him and inviting him and having her part of the family, which was something that she really, really wanted. So she changed the story and she completely turned this around. And she actually even gives some intentions. So grab a piece of paper and pen, because some of these intentions that she used to change around her situation are really good and you're going to want to use them as well. So yes, let's hear the story.
Okay, let's start. Back in April, I had a session with Erica. When I met with her, she asked me if I understood everyone as you pushed out. I was understanding it at that point, but I was still being tripped up by the 3D and having some reactions and conversations with my men that weren't helpful with where I wanted to go. We used to always spend our days and nights together, but by the time I met with Erica, we hadn't spent the night together in about 2 weeks. We were still talking daily around the clock and throughout the day, so I was always still very confident that he was only with me. That's very important, right? We have to assume that they only want us and they want to be with us.
Oh, exactly. Law of assumption, right? It's so incredibly important because that's so crucial. Because if it was like, okay, we're not spending the night together anymore and assume there's a third party, we're going to create it. So we don't want to do that. We want to assume that it's working out in our favor and our benefit for sure.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I kept telling Erica that I know I am all he wants. Very important. I was always very confident that he was only with me because anytime I called, he will always answer and talk to me, no matter what time of day or night. So I never feared him wanting someone else. I just didn't know how to feel constantly wanted at the time. And I felt he was trying to push me away. So never think or assume that anyone is, pushing you away, right? You say that all the time. Never assume that someone's actions mean that they're rejecting you, right?
Mm-hmm. So again, law of assumption. We assume that they're rejecting us and pushing us away. That's what we're actually going to end up creating, and we're going to see in our reality. So we always want. What I do is I'll create, like, if somebody like is like, maybe it feels like maybe it could be taken as they're pushing me away. I'll just chalk it up to, okay, they're just not in a good mood and it's nothing to do with me, and then I'll intend that they are in a good mood, kind of thing, right?
And that's also just evidence, like, oh, I'm assuming that, he's pushing me away. I don't want that. Well, I'm going to change it. And guess what? No, he really loves me. He wants me so bad. He's always there for me, right? Change the story and they will change because they're just reflecting your assumptions, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Erica was able to pinpoint my exact block around the relationship and tell me exactly what it was. She let me know again that I was narrating this story myself and go opposite on it. She went on to say that what I was experiencing was coming from me and only my feelings about what I considered to be a circumstance, and it wasn't true. Then Erica asked me what I wanted right now. My answer was that I wanted to spend time again every day and get married. She gave me things to say to myself. One of those statements was, I am his priority. 2 days later, we were back to spending the night together and waking up to one another, but I knew I still had more work to do. Plus, I realized another block later on my own. He is a really good father to his teenage daughter. I used to tell myself that on the days he has his daughter, he's focused on her and wouldn't communicate with me much until she left. So I began to rework my stories profusely and tell myself the following. I am a great stepmother and his daughter and I have a wonderful relationship. He wants me around all the time, especially when his daughter is there, because he knows I am a good influence on her. Then I had to break down what feeling like a priority meant to me. I will keep saying to myself things like, he loves coming home to me every day. He always wants to be around me. Everyone is rallying to support our marriage. People see us together and they want what we have. We have the best marriage every day. He includes me in everything. Every decision he makes is with me in his mind first. I needed to feel what it was like to be wanted 24/7 and repeat, LOL. Now fast forward to 3 months later and we are best friends. We literally act like excited teenagers, so happy to always see one another. He likes to fish, and I used to ask him to take me with him, and he would just say, okay. Well, yesterday he was going fishing on a pier by his friend's house, and he told me to come because I said he includes me in everything and always wants me around, LOL. And guess what else? After we fished, I was so hungry and I told him to feed me. He let me know that he had food at home and that he cooked so we could go back there for dinner, and that his daughter was home as well. We got back to his house and I hugged his daughter and we ate, and the flow was so natural. He didn't even want me to leave. Part of me wanted to wait until I got my ring to give the update, but I can clearly see now that this marriage with him is something I already have. My thinking pattern about him now is so good, clean, and positive, and everything I want him to do, he does. I just see him as the all-around best husband ever. That's literally it. That's the trick. It took me 3 months to get there. Did I ever feel like sometimes it wouldn't happen? Yes. Did I cry sometimes? Yes, but I persisted and knew what I wanted. I also knew it would be okay to have a moment, but still have this relationship in its fullness as well. Just don't give up and affirm what you know to be true. Thank you, guys. Yay, I'm so happy for
Oh,
her.
that is so amazing. Well, you know, she said a couple things there, and one thing that I wanted to mention was when she talked about feeling like it, she wanted to create the feeling. And I know that there's going to be the question of how do I create the feeling? So how we create feelings is our thoughts, can create our emotions. So if we focus on what we want, we focus on things that make us feel good, we're going to start to feel good. So like, for instance, if I was to sit here and say right now, like, oh, Jerry would rather spend time with his friends and he's always following other teddy bears on Instagram, like, I'll get upset really, really quickly, right? But if I go and I say, no, you know what, Jerry wants to be with me and only me, and he's very loyal, and you know what, he will never leave me, then I actually feel good. So how you create the emotions that you want is you start telling yourself the story, even if it's just in your head, even if it's just saying intentions, even if it's just writing a new script. Okay, if you're focusing on what you want, you're automatically creating the emotions associated with having that.
Exactly. She also mentioned something very important: persistence. She stayed persistent on this man is like A, B, C, and D, all the things I want, right? You have to stick to that story and completely let go of whatever they did in the past.
Exactly. That's, you know, a huge thing. And then start seeing them as that person. You know, I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, and there was this person there, like, oh, psychological trick for you. You know, if you want someone to be something, automatically compliment them and say that they're already that. So for instance, if they're unreliable, just go and compliment them and say, you're a very reliable person. You know, and it's exactly, you know, what I do as well is, you know, is if I see, you know, they're not reliable, I'll automatically go, you're completely reliable. And then that way I'm creating that right then and there, because as soon as you see someone is unreliable, they're going to show up as unreliable, right? So you never want to label them as anything that they're not. So everyone, as you pushed out, start creating what the other person thinks about you. Start creating what they think about relationships. I mean, it's completely up to you to create, right?
Exactly. I always think that when you assume the best out of someone, it's an act of self-love, because you're benefiting from assuming that this person is amazing to you, loving, respectful, committed, etc., right? But if I'm assuming that they're the worst, then I'm the one who's suffering from that.
Right.
Also, she said something very important. She said sometimes she felt sad, right? Like, we're still human. We can't expect to always feel happy. And if you're feeling sad or angry, you're like, oh no, crap, now it's not going to happen. Allow yourself to have your human moments, but be like, even when I'm sad, when I'm upset, however I'm feeling, I'm still getting what I want.
Yes. You know, it's so important, right? I think sometimes we react or we cry and then we beat ourselves up for it, thinking we're not going to get it. Now we're living from the law of assumption, or living from the end that it's not going to happen. But if we say, look, you know what, I'm going to have a good cry, that's going to cause me to have a huge breakthrough, and I'm still going to get what I want. Now we're using, you know, that reaction as it's a catalyst to get us towards what we want, using the law of assumption. I think that's so incredibly important. So no, I mean, you can cry, you can react. I mean, of course, how long do you stay in those states, and then do you beat yourself up for being in those states, is going to make all the difference of whether or not you get there. Like, I'm never going to say that I've never cried. I've still, you know, I've had my moments, and I still create what I want because I just move on from it, right?
yeah, dust yourself off, and then you know what, it's okay, I got this, and keep going, right? And I think also the importance of the now moment, right? It doesn't matter what happened in the morning. Right now, it only matters what I'm affirming, what I'm believing, and stick to that version of the person that you want to be and the person that you want in your life, right? That's all that matters. What you're saying to yourself right now. I really see the now moment like Play-Doh. You're molding it, right? Nothing's ever ruined, right? It's not cement. It's not like, oh crap, it's ruined now. Now I have to deal with it. No, it doesn't matter. I have the power of the now moment, and it's moldable, right?
Yeah, you know, big secret, right, is I always say, and it doesn't happen very often, but there was a little bit of time there that, you know, like, well, me and Andrew have been together for, it seems like forever now, but don't tell him that, but, you know, there'd be a few times where we have a little, like, tiff or like a disagreement. And I always say that they bring us closer together and that we learn something from each other, and then we resolve it and we become closer. And you know what, it's worked, and now there's like none. I remember there was a little bit of a time where there was, a little bit of disagreements. I said, no, we're going to work it out. We're going to be closer than we were ever. And we did. We got to know each other, and, and everything moves on. Like, he knows if I don't feel good, I'll get a bit snappy. He doesn't take it personally, and vice versa or whatever, right? So a really funny story is he used to get crabby when he was hungry, right? Mm-hmm. And so anyway, so I started intending. I stopped reacting to it because I used to be like, oh, does he want to be with me? Like, what did I do, right? But then turns out he was just hungry. So then I started saying, no, he's totally fine. You know what? Even when he's hungry, he's always in a great mood. And then one day we were driving to this baseball game, and I knew he hadn't eaten breakfast, right? He was up early because we were going to go have lunch at the baseball thing. And I was like, we were driving there, and I said, well, I haven't had breakfast. He's like, neither did I. I was like, really? I'm like, I couldn't tell. You're in a great mood. He's like, I know, right? And I was like, okay. I'm like, cool, right?
So the hunger monster wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So now that's no longer there anymore because, again, I just kind of moved on from
the story.
I changed the story. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, I was like, well, it's not that big of a deal, right? So.
Exactly. Yeah. Rather, if you're pre-paving it like, oh crap, he's hungry and he's gonna be angry and he's gonna be snappy, you're pre-paving the situation to be that way. You're creating that story.
Exactly. Right? So what do I want instead? Well, I want him to always be in a good mood, regardless of whether he's hungry or not. I always want him to be happy. I always want him to be up for having fun. Things like this. So painting more of just like the story, of renouncing it, but painting the whole story of who you want that person to be, right?
And really believe that, yeah, your whole world, right, is just a reflection of your assumptions. So change the assumptions if there's something that you don't like or someone that you don't like how they act, right? And really magical, they will start changing. It's really that easy, but we always think, what else do I have to do? It can't be just that easy. Well, it is.
It is actually. The funny thing is, it is, and, the minute we make something not such a huge deal and we focus on what we want and we're prepared to see it, it shows up, you know what I mean? And it just like, wow, absolutely amazing, and what I do, right, is I'll start with little things and I'll start building my way up. But I think the biggest thing is, is to build your belief in it, build your belief that you can change things by practicing on other things. I think that's so incredibly important.
Test it and have fun with it. Fun is really important.
Exactly. So guys, the most important thing to do is let's sit down right now and let's write down what the other person thinks, feels, wants with you. Like what and how are you? Like, what do they want? Do they want you part of the family? And definitely pay attention to the parts of the story where you think you're not included or you think you're not part of the family, and really, work on changing those points in the story. Definitely 100%, right?
Super important. Yeah. So if we're assuming, oh, he doesn't care and he blocked me and no, change it to no.
Change it.
We're reaching out. He really loves me. He cares about me. I'm part of his life, right? Change those stories and they will change.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Erica, for being here today. I appreciate it.
And thanks everyone for listening.
Yes, and guys, if you would like help changing the story or finding your blocks, we are still having our promotional sale on for this month as well. And Erica is available for video coaching. Check the link in the description below. And thank you guys for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.